Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of Car Tales, where I tell you stories from cars I've bought, cars I've sold, cars I've been around. 9 times out of 10 it's my own fault or me being made to look like the mug. Today is no exception, so if you do enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And let's talk about the car that I was sold a dream and I bought a nightmare. So if you know me and you know the channel, you know I've always wanted a Clio 182. I finally was able to get one at a reasonable price. It had all the work done, like the phaser, the belt, everything. All the like big high ticket jobs were done on it. It was 120,000 something miles, but realistically it didn't affect me because the work was done. It had a small oil leak, but it didn't drip from what I was told, and it had a slight crunch going into third gear, which if you know the Clios, that's like the most common thing. Like they almost came out of the factory with a crunching gearbox. This is where I went wrong. He sent me videos of the car, and me being impulsive and young and stupid. This was last summer when I was in like a ridiculous streak of buying cars, like 2 a month, like 3 a month. It was ridiculous. I was impulsive. He sent me videos. It sounded good. I trusted him. I let him drive the car to me. Didn't view it, didn't test drive it, didn't do anything. And obviously I could have said no, there's always that, but in my head I was sold on the car. Again, it's my own fault. I'm not blaming anyone. He was a bit, we'll talk about that, but it was my own fault. I could have said no. I could have done more research. I could have looked around the car properly. When he arrived, he did let me test drive the car. The clutch pedal had a squeak every time I take my foot off it, and he said, oh, that's literally only just happened. And I believed him. Looking back, I was an absolute mug. I'll hold my hands up. I was an absolute mug. But yeah, it's there's a lot that wasn't told or was a bit of a grey area, and he just went. Paid him the money. I was happy with the car. He just went. Again, that's my own fault. I'm not necessarily blaming him. What I've learned with this car tales is just do the opposite of what I do. I'm so bad when it comes to buying cars, and I'll be straight up. I bought that car for 2.7. I then found out all the problems, which we'll go into, and I got it for 2.6. He gave me £100 back, and I sold it 3 weeks after for £1,200. 3 weeks after, a Clio 182 for £1,200. Do not take my advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm the worst when it comes to cars. I buy at a stupid price and I sell at an even worse price. So, as I said, the clutch pedal had a squeak. The gearbox would crunch in every single gear, not just third. Obviously, these are things that I couldn't tell when I took it on a test drive because I wasn't driving it like 10 temps. It was after he went, I took it for a spin and I found all the problems. But by that point, it was too late. Again, it was my own fault. I mean, yes, he lied to me or he like hid the full truth, but yeah, there was a lot more that went wrong as well. So the left suspension was like, I don't know, I never even had the chance to check what was wrong with it, but when you turned too hard, it was like a grinding noise. I presume it was the top mount. It was absolutely terrible. Gearbox crunched. This oil leak from the sump was like an oil drain. It was terrible. I actually caught it on video. It was dripping constantly and the engine was cold. Made an absolute mess on my driveway. Where the cam or the phaser had been done, it hadn't been put back together properly. So it was leaking oil from there, which then got oil all over the belt, which means, again, even though it was brand new, it needed a new belt again because the belt was finished. It was soaked in oil. I'm sure there were other things wrong with that car as well. It had a decat, which I knew about, but like, yeah, there's a lot. It had high lift cams, which I found out about after I sold the car. So the person I sold it to, he then sold it to someone else, but he was also like the guy I bought it off. So bear with me. He said to the current owner that the car was fine, the car was mint, all this, all that. But in reality, he lied to the person who bought the car, which is the same thing that happened to me when I bought the car. Then the new owner, the new owner got in contact with me. I've done a video on that in the past, basically saying like, this car is a bag of shit. It still had my stickers on it, my French and Fragile stickers on it. If you know, you know. And it was like, yeah, this car is like a curse. It's an absolute nightmare. I'd wanted one for years and years, and I would like to own another one, but that one did leave quite a bad taste in my mouth. So as far as I'm aware, the sump, the gearbox, the suspension had an issue. The oil leaks just everywhere. I know there was more because it was a lot worse than that, but I just can't remember it off the top of my head. It's such a bad time. If you're gonna take anything away from this, one thing is don't be like me. Always check over the cars. Just check for leaks, check for worn bits, check for the gearbox, especially on the Clios. Check for leaks. Check that the work that they've said has been done has actually been done. Test drive it. Just check. I cannot stress that enough. Do not trust anyone's word, because you'll find people who are selling their car will always say their car is 10 out of 10. So that is the story on how I was sold a dream, but I bought a nightmare. Hopefully you have enjoyed, because I haven't. If you have, leave a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again. Cheers.